were you with Rufus when he was being wined and dined for his first record deal? That was kind of when you returned to LA and got
That
to
was
hang
when I
out.
returned to LA and I got to meet Lenny Waronker and also John Bryan, who was producing the record, which I know was I talk about this in the book. You know, it was kind of
Yeah.
a difficult process, but what a great product they made. You know, it was kind of worth it, I think, in many ways. And but you know, we went to the Ivy, which I talk about a little bit, which I don't, I'm sure it's not as in favor, but at the time was probably a pretty big deal. You know, and um, I think that that was also, you know, I mean, I hate to feel, I hate to put it this way, but it did always feel like there were these things that would always kind of happen that made me feel um, kind of like that would set me back in a way, you know, whether it's, you know, my dad, you know, saying you got to go back home after living with him for a year, or, you know, and then I think, you know, Rufus having an incredible success for by my standards, you know, because his music is quite out there, you know, and he was this lanky gay guy at the piano. You know, it seemed kind of really amazing that he would be given as much support as he did because he's so great also. So that of course makes sense. But you know, I just sort of was like, oh, you know, this is how am I gonna do this myself, you know? And I feel like, you know, there was already the two parents that were very like critically acclaimed, although not huge stars, but critically acclaimed. And then Rufus became very critically acclaimed. And I think that by that time I was already writing songs, but it was like, well, we can't have another one that's good. You know what I mean? That's gonna be the kind of the crappy runt that we have to deal with somehow.
Well, you did touch on that with your mom, who said, "What do you want to do? Sing and dance for a living?" Is that was the quote that you said? I mean, but you took that as like, "Yes, I do." Is
Yes,
that
I do. But if I'm gonna, but I realize, I think being surrounded by these people who had very distinct styles and were very creative, you know, that I was gonna have to um, do the work, you know, and you know, craft the craft. And it was not as easy or obvious for me because I kind of lacked a little bit of confidence. I think my musical style was a little bit like confused. I liked it, but it was sort of like, I think for record labels early on, they were like, you know, what is this? Is this kind of country? Is this rock? Is this is not pop? The, you know, you're kind of, you're not, you don't dress a certain way, or you don't look a certain way. You know, I think it was hard for me to be put into a box, and lots of producers wanted to work with me, you know, like Rick Chertoff, for instance, who had done Cyndi Lauper's record, and Joan Osborne, and you know, had huge success. And I would be like, yeah, I should do that. And I would get into the studio with them and just kind of fuck it up in a way, you know. Well, not I just didn't want to change my songs, you know. I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I was just difficult, you know. And I was kind of, I was nice, but I was like, no, this is the weird chord, you know. And so it was like I was going to it was going to take a minute, you know. And then I really started going to New York more and hanging out more on the Lower East Side, and really kind of over. It took time to find the style. I needed to do 1,000 shows or whatever, and
yeah,
really gain the confidence, you know, to walk around with the guitar. And I felt like I needed to pay my dues, maybe.
like everyone?